crystal ball, do you think Kirk Cousins is on the Vikings in 2024? Yes or no?
Yes, because I don't know who else they're going to target. It would have made sense, I think, for them to potentially target somebody like a Will Levis if they really thought that that guy was going to become a guy for them, right? I mean, Levis lasted all the way through the first round and into the early second, and they didn't, or a Hendon Hooker, right? I mean, they had chances to get guys if they really wanted them to sit a year and develop. So at this point, I think it's going to be Kirk Cousins because I don't know what the better option is going to be unless it's like a Trey Lance. But even then, I mean, you're betting on nothing basically because we don't know what Trey Lance is, and we're probably not going to see him very much this year.
A couple of years ago, the past regime was lurking for Justin Fields. They got jumped by the Chicago Bears, or they quite possibly would have taken Fields if he had fallen to them. This regime, my understanding, not enamored with Levis or Hooker. If there was a way that things had fallen, that they had a reasonable shot at Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, or Anthony Richardson, that might have been a different story, but they were gone by the first 4 picks. So that was that. And if they're going to add a youngster, it's going to be next year. A lot's going to be determined by the Vikings next year. And see, that's the problem. You've got to recommit to Cousins, or you take your chance. Like, unless they absolutely fall apart this year and earn one of the top picks in the draft, which is highly unlikely, they'll still be competitive. They'll at least be 7-10 this year, at least. I would be stunned if they're less than that. They're not going to be in a spot where they know, okay, we can go get Caleb Williams or the North Carolina quarterback whose name escapes me currently. So they're going to be in they're going to have to figure it out. Drake May, you're right. They're going to have to renew their vows with Cousins again. Another short-term Band-Aid maybe, or find somebody in free agency. Good luck with that. Trade for somebody. Good luck with that. Hope the Jets cut Aaron Rodgers and they can sign him and fully continue the Brett Favre career arc. Good luck with that. I don't know how I would feel about that. I really don't. I don't know how I'd feel about Aaron Rodgers with the Vikings. I think this is where the Brett Favre similarities end, hopefully in all respects, upon his arrival with the New York Jets. That there's no further connection to anything Favre did or didn't do well in New York or beyond.
I get what you're alluding to.
I'm just talking about winning football games. No, I'm talking about winning football games, not wearing Crocs.
I think you know where the Vikings are, Mike. The Vikings are sort of where the 2020 Rams were at the end of that season, where you've got Jared Goff, and you understand that Jared Goff is taking you probably about as far as he can take you. But then you are, really grateful that a Matthew Stafford becomes available. You're able to acquire him, and then you go win a Super Bowl. I kind of feel like that's where the Vikings are, because if they had a dominant defense, then it's one thing, right? And you can get by with a Kirk Cousins who sometimes shrinks in those biggest games, because if your defense is that good, you can hide him, right? That's the 2019 San Francisco 49ers, where they hid Jimmy Garoppolo in the playoffs and then they make it to the Super Bowl. And who knows if they would have won if Garoppolo had hit Emmanuel Sanders. I tend to believe that Patrick Mahomes would have led a game-winning drive, but it doesn't really matter because he didn't make that pass. That's the kind of quarterback that I feel like Kirk Cousins is for the Minnesota Vikings. And so we'll see if they're actually able to get past that hump this year. I don't know that they will.
And, you mentioned the Rams. That's a potential destination for Kirk Cousins because of the connection to Sean McVay, but they don't nearly have the help around him. San Francisco makes the most sense, assuming that Brock Purdy isn't their guy a year from now. There's been that connection all the way back to 2017. Kyle Shanahan didn't evaluate Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson in the draft because he assumed he was getting Kirk Cousins the next year in free agency. Along the way, they talked him into trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, or they would have a Super Bowl or two, I think, if they had gotten Kirk Cousins. And we would feel very differently about Cousins, not because of him, but because he gets plugged into the team, because he's durable. All those injury issues they've had, he hasn't missed a game in that same window. Hasn't missed a game. So durable, able to stay within the boundaries of what the offense dictates, and you let Kyle Shanahan basically be the kid on the sideline with the joystick or the game controller or whatever the kids use now to play those games. I say it like I don't play Madden every day while I'm riding my exercise bike. But I remember the old joystick, the old Atari joystick. I mean, that's Shanahan on the sideline. He micromanages the quarterback. Cousins is perfect for that. He'll do what the coach tells him to do. If he ends up in San Francisco, people are going to be like, oh, yeah, they're going to be better with him. If he ends up in San Francisco, they will be better than they are now. And I think that'll be the dilemma next year for the 49ers and for Cousins and the Vikings, depending upon how it all plays out. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.